What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 12 of Lyon Live here in Football Manager 2019. Today, well, it's almost the new year, the transfer window is almost open. As a result, it's going to be a slightly more laid-back episode, slightly fewer matches. This video is going up on Saturday as you see it. If you've missed any of the episodes over the last few days, go check them out, especially if you're someone who loves the matches. There has been a lot of games lately. And, well, today isn't going to have those, so if you crave some matchday action, go watch that before you come here and watch us panic buy in the transfer market. But yes, the date today is the 29th of December, of course. If you watched last episode, you know that our form has been top-notch. We've got a game against Dijon in about a week's time. But prior to that, we've got the transfer window opening. I'm hoping we're going to be able to get a little bit more transfer money to spend. We'll see how things go here. It's going to be a bit of a venture into the unknown. I'm hoping that we're going to get some money to spend. I would like to bolster our centre-back options quite desperately. Of course, at the end of last episode, we were in the process of selling Jeremy Morel, or rather loaning him out. His contract's up at the end of the year, though, so it's essentially a sale. With him going out and the fact he has been on the bench once or twice for us, we are potentially going to need a centre-back replacement for him. So, we're just going to mash continue to begin with. Obviously, the new month is coming in and it's going to be the new year, so there could be a few awards here for us to keep an eye on. A few of those players who we offered contracts to at the end of last episode, signing new deals, which is good. Gravenberch is going to go on loan to Montpellier for the year, where he'll get regular football. Morel, we're going to loan him out to Lille to get a little bit of money. Yes, okay, this is what I wanted to see. Terrier wins European Golden Boy. That is huge. That is actually crazy. I almost want to tweet him in real life and congratulate him on winning it. I feel some kind of emotional attachment to the fact that Terrier has won European Golden Boy. He's not a standout youngster when you just look at his polygon and his attributes, but he's just been an absolute beast. He deserves it. Wow, European Golden Boy. I mean, that's something that I'd love to do here at Lyon, is just win that every year with different players. Really become this, team renowned for its young talent. You can see here, Bertrand Traoré has won Broadcaster's African Footballer of the Year. Does that mean he's beaten Salah to the award? I guess it does. He's been named as African Footballer of the Year as well, and Promising Footballer of the Year. I mean, he's basically won all the Footballer of the Year awards. He's also appeared, you can see here, in the African 11 kind of Team of the Year. Fekir, second in terms of French Player of the Year. Kind of surprising that when you consider Fekir's not been in the national team. Maybe he deserves a call back up. You can see 11 goals, 9 assists, a 7.61 average rating for him. That is better than Griezmann's, who won it. I can't help but feel like Griezmann has won that based on his reputation. Dembele has won Best Rookie and, League Revelation of the Year. I mean, that sounds better, doesn't it, than Best Rookie Revelation of the Year. Of course, we signed him, or rather, I guess Lyon signed him from Celtic in real life, for just shy of £20 million. Not a small sum of money, and it did take him a while to get going, but he has been in very good form for us. You can see here, Salah finishing behind Traoré in African Midfielder of the Year. I feel like it's fair to say that Bertrand Traoré is making a bit of a name for himself, at least when it comes to awards. Which, I'll be honest, I'm pretty happy about. Sofian signing a new contract is some good news. I really like the look of this guy. He looks particularly good. Yes, he's inconsistent. Yes, he's young. But if his potential is anything to judge him on, he could be one for the future. And I like one for a future. As you guys know, it's probably my favourite type of player. Anyway, let's get forward. We've got Dijon coming up. The reality here is today, guys, we probably won't be doing too many games. A lot more of it's going to be potentially just trawling through the transfer market. I know that's what some of you guys absolutely adore, so for you guys, you're going to be in dreamland. Konate could be an interesting one. We've got a little bit of transfer budget. I mean, £2 million is not going to be enough to get Konate, but £2 million in the bank. I do hope that we might be able to ask her for a bit more money. Right on cue. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. Change season expectations. How much are we going to get if I choose to be a winner? How much money would I want in terms of an increase? I feel like if they up the transfer budget to 10 million, I'd probably take winner and risk it backfiring. This would be a bit of a gamble. But I feel like I am going to say we're going to be winners. Oh, okay, that is a large rise. I'm definitely saying that we're going to be winners. This is a risk, as I said. It's a bit of a gamble because we're still on a one-year contract. So I'm now kind of hoping that a month on from when we ballsed up our previous contract negotiations, we can get another one. Anyway, you can see here, Raphael has left. Lons are trying to loan Mbia, but they don't want to pay any of his wages. Still would quite like to get rid of Mbia. Preferably without paying all of that money for his wages. Two new players arrive, of course, the two Portuguese youngsters, Zadas and also Trincao. We will send them both on intensive language courses and move them to the first team. For Zadas here, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, but we're going to, I think, train him as a attacking midfielder on attack. I think, although actually, no, I've lied. I'm going to train him as a shadow striker just to help out with his physicals a little bit more. The rest of the attributes that shadow striker addresses are pretty similar, so it's not a massive downside there. And then for Trincao, I think we will send him on an intensive language course. And I value this guy very much as an inside forward on the right-hand side for us. I feel like that is going to be where we deploy him the most. We need to move him to the senior team, don't we? And then do his training. So yeah, we'll put him on inside forward, automatic intensity. Any additional focus that I'd like him to have? Maybe his passing. Although that doesn't really help his vision. I was looking for something to help his vision. Is there something that helps his vision? Is it final third? It is final third. We'll go with final third. That does help with his composure and decisions as well. But he looks really good, to be honest. I really like the look of both these players as young prospects in the attacking midfield department. Fakir is now able to put in better performances at centre mid, so that's good news there if we do ever choose to deploy him in that deeper area of the pitch. I mean, so far, so good this episode. We've got the money that we wanted. I do need to think about how we might do it. Oh, okay, this is even better. Even better. Contract talks, right. I'm not going to click decline contract talks. I'm going to click discuss current vision. Can we have a little bit more transfer and wage budget? Just a slight more. And the same for the wages. Just a slight increase. And I don't have any other further changes. We're willing to make your suggested changes if you sign a new contract. Well, yeah, give me the contract. Give me it. 4-year deal. They are not messing around here. They are not messing around. And if we take it, they're going to up the wage budget to 1.6 million. I mean, yes. Yes, 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 yes again. Well, show me the dotted line. I'm squiggling all over it. I mean, that just sounds rude, doesn't it? We have a lot of money to play with, folks. Jesus. Okay, that is not... I did not expect to have this much to play with. We don't have like a crazy transfer budget, but our wage budget is a big increase. And we really should now shift our attention to players whose contracts are expiring. Obviously, we were looking at some of these players before. It's going to be interesting to see if there's any more to sign here. I think we'll up our scouting package as well. Just because we can. And because we might want it for this month for some scouting. But as I said, today's episode is not going to be a fast one. You know, if you like match after match after match, I'm sorry. It's going to be one of those methodical kind of poke arounds. Where we kind of look at a few players at a time and think about, you know, whether or not we should sign them. Who was that youngster who I was just scouting, Kanate? I kind of want to just stick an offer in for him. He was the player who we almost signed previously, you might remember. What do I want to be on? I want to be on assignments here. And I want to be on priorities. Kanate here is the man. Other scouts aren't currently scouting any individuals, so we might send them out and about. I mean, how much would I want to pay for this guy? I need a backup centre-back because we have just let go of Morel. He's only 19. He's got so much potential. I'd like to take a similar approach to the approach we took previously, you might remember. Last time we tried to negotiate for this guy, where we include clauses that you'd only really expect the player to hit if they become worth that money. I don't want to offer per league appearance. I want after 50 league appearances, I'll give you $1 million for him. See, something like this seems fair to me. It's a £9 million potential offer. I'll also include a profit at next sale, but I don't want it to be a big amount, 5%, and we'll lock it in. I have no idea if they're going to like this or not. Okay, they haven't just completely flat out refused, so I guess that's a positive. I still don't want to increase the offer too much. Let's just edge it up slowly. Well, about 6 million up front, 1.5 million if he makes 50 league appearances, and 2.5 million after the league games. And also, we'll up this to 10%. How does that sound? Okay, we're getting closer, slowly. 6.5 and 1.5. Okay, they've locked that in at 8. What if I just flat out remove that? Okay, 8 million. 8 million potentially rising to 10.5. I do really like the look of this guy. In terms of as a backup centre-back, he would fall behind Denea. I mean, let's look at the centre-back situation. Because I feel like when it comes to our centre-mids, we're fine. When it comes to our attacking players, we're more than fine now with some of the additions we've got. In fact, Jadas here and Trincao, I want to have available for the reserves as well. Just on an ongoing basis. But in terms of centre-backs, we've got Marcelo and Wallace, who are kind of just nailed on starters. These guys are always going to play at least immediately. We've got Denea, who I like, and then Mbia as our kind of fourth choice. Let's just compare him with Kanate. I mean, Kanate here, better in terms of speed, better in terms of aerial. He's only 19, so he really does fit the philosophy. And £8 million, I'm going to be honest, it seems like a bit of a bargain for a player who's 19 and has this level of consistency. I'm hoping his wage demands are going to be around £20,000 as well. But that would be a lot of our transfer budget gone. So we would be left with a lot of wage budget, but then we could put the wage budget into these kind of players. The players whose contracts are expiring who I want to sign, you know, before they renew. Someone like Origi could be a really good addition. Some people have kind of told me that they feel like Martinez is a bit of a bot for us. I realise I'm using a Counter-Strike terminology. What I mean by a bit of a bot is he's just not very good. He's a bit of a robot. You know, he doesn't contribute a great deal. I wouldn't mind signing Origi, but he wants 70 grand. He's currently on 45. Let's try and match his current contract. I know that's a big cut. Okay, he did not appreciate me massively lowballing him here. 55. I don't really want to break our wage budget structure. As much as these players are tempting to sign them because they don't command a transfer fee, they probably are going to want a bit more in terms of wages. I mean, you can see here we're currently offering, you know, the key players on the team, the likes of Fekir, Depay, Traore, around 60,000 to 70,000. Lopez is on 50,000 as well, but he's just a very, very good keeper. So Origi wanting, you know, 60 plus is just a little bit too much for my liking. We have also got the players here who my scouts have just been kind of looking at as part of their assignments. Having looked at a lot of the best rated players here, though, they look like they're going to come in massively above the kind of money we have. Is there anyone who doesn't come massively over budget? There's a few players here who you can see the maximum asking price is significantly lower. I mean, Ranaccia, 30 years old, Italian international. I mean, he looks pretty good, but his wages are colossal. And he would just come in as a backup. You know what, we'll get another scout report on him. As you saw, we haven't got that many assignments ongoing at the moment. Doesn't look like they want a massive amount of money for him. They seem to think his max wage demand would be around 47,000. You can see Kanate, who we're looking to sign, his demand's lower. Markovic is listed here. Yeah, I thought his contract was up at the end of the year. I don't really need more attacking wide men. The reason for signing Origi is that he can naturally play as a striker. Doesn't seem like there's a great deal of players there who our scouts have picked up who look great. At the moment, I've got an age restriction here of max age 25 on these players whose contracts are expiring in 6 months. That's mostly because I want to try and keep a relatively young core to the side. I'm pretty sure Kessie's already got a future transfer agreed. Yeah, he has. So there's no point even considering him. And I think that's the same for Alex Merritt. I think they're in the game at the start. Indeed, it is. There is Almami Traore, who I do... Oh, sorry, not Traore, Torre, who I do like the look of. He's a bit of a jack-of-all-trades right-back. He's got a secondary nationality of French. And he's a big match player, consistent player. I mean, he's not on that much money. He could be a pretty good versatile backup player. His contract's up at the end of the year. Can we just approach to sign him? Okay, we can. I'm going to suggest backup to him. Okay, he did not like the idea of being a backup. he just wanted too many promises. I can't offer him more than what I've given him there. I might try and just stick in a transfer offer of 2 million and see if they accept it. Okay, they are not going to accept it, is the answer we've learnt there. Meneer's here. I like Meneer, but his wages are massive, 86,000. I mean, let's just try and negotiate with him here and just see what money he wants. But I feel like he's going to want like 100,000 because I've seen him before in saves like this where I go, Meneer's good, and then he just wants way too much money. There's players like Mahi here, but injury-prone, inconsistent, lacks important matches. Obviously, we scouted a lot of these players, so I could just look at the scouted ratings here. So there's players like Andreas Pereira, but he's inconsistent and doesn't enjoy important matches, and he doesn't play an area of the pitch I need to sign anyone in. Nelson Monte. I mean, could we do the full Monte? I mean, this guy's pretty good. 23 years old. He's on £800 at the moment. That is borderline robbery. I feel like Portugal does have some pretty good players. He's inconsistent. He is consistent and enjoys big matches. He's not the craziest player in the world, but I almost want to do a direct comparison between him and Morel because I think they're actually pretty similar. Let's have a look. Just in terms of raw ability. Yeah, they are pretty similar. See, Morel's probably a little bit better in terms of mentals and defensively, but Monte is 23. He is consistent and enjoys big matches. Similarly, I mean, they're not that far apart. His wage demands being potentially so low is actually one of the big kind of appealing things about Monte here. If we go for him, he is going to have to be a backup though, and he's going to have to be okay at being a backup. Apparently Manchester City are interested in him. That instantly makes me more interested in him, the fact that Manchester City are apparently interested at the end of his contract. You can get some really good players in Portugal. Like Ligue is full of some really good teams. It's almost worth, in a way, just looking through some of these teams and looking at their hot prospects. Unfortunately, we can't probably attract players from Porto. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to do this. I like to just do kind of what I call manual scouting, where I will literally just go through teams and just look at their key player and their hot prospect. And then if there's a team that have a really good hot prospect, I might then look at the rest of their team. Portugal is a very good league for doing this. This guy's on loan from Braga. I mean, there's no harm in getting a scout report. Nakajima, I signed on a Norwich save, and I absolutely loved him. And he's really good. He does unfortunately play a position that we don't really need anyone in, but if you need a really pacey player who can play either wing, and for a relatively good budget price, this guy might be your guy. I rate him. He is my suggestion of the week. This guy's very good. Iago Oliveira. Let's get a scout report on him. I mean, really, maybe at this point I should just sign a load of players for our kind of reserve team going forward. Gelson Dalla looks pretty good, but he's on loan from Sporting. So the chances are we wouldn't be able to sign him anyway. Braga, of course, we've already kind of ripped the soul out of their team. We might as well get a scout report on Singh here. As I said, our scouts aren't really doing anything at the moment, so we might as well, you know, keep them busy a little bit. This guy's pretty good. Daniel Branganxa, I think is how you'd say that. I feel like this guy was really good a few FMs ago. And I also expect Sporting to want a crazy amount of money for him. But let's just suggest an offer. Yeah, okay, 40 million. A little out of our price budget. Mario Ferreira here. I mean, he looks reasonably good. Of course, as I mentioned before, if you don't have Portugal loaded, you might not have these players. But when I set up my game, I set it up to force load players who play in all the top divisions. There are a few countries you can go to and pick up some really good youngsters. Obviously, I'm playing with attribute masking off, so I can just see all the players' attributes. That's partly just to speed things up here, because I don't want you guys watching me go through profiles and scouting all these players. But, of course, if you were doing this yourself with attribute masking on, you could just look through these players and just scout all of them, if that's really what you wanted to do. I'm going to be honest, a little underwhelmed by the players we've stumbled across here. I was hoping for something a little better. To be fair, I didn't look through every single key player. Also, we're getting to the obscure realm of youngsters when they've got these really faded out photos that look like their face was stolen off like a family photo in a photo album. This guy looks pretty good as well. I mean, we might as well get scout reports on them. There's no harm in becoming more aware with some of the youngsters out there that, you know, could be potential signings down the line. This guy has a name that I love. Lorenko is how I'd say it, but it's actually Lorenzo. But Lorenko was a legendary player of an Oxford United save I did back in FM14. He was a Mozambican international striker. Some of you probably remember him. There's a few other teams I want to check, and the reason I want to check them is because lots of you guys have suggested players who play for them. One was Steaua Bucharest, who I had a few people mention the fact that they've got some pretty good young players. I did not mean to go off Steaua Bucharest here. So what I'm actually tempted to do is just look at their best young players. There are a few names here that I recognise, but we might as well scout these players. Morutan is very good this year in FM, to the point where I wonder if it's worth signing him, other than the fact he already plays a position that we have a player kind of more than... Well, we have lots of players who can play it. At the same time, if I can get him for as little as 3.7 million, depending on what the scouts say, I might be tempted. The Steaua Bucharest, I feel like the other teams in Romania aren't so good when it comes to players. Maybe that's harsh. Maybe I should go through them all, but I feel like I've not got time to go through them all. We could be here all week. The other country I want to check... Actually, we should check this team, because I came up against them on the Lyon project. Oh my gosh, you're very good, Jovan Markovic. Yes, we will have a scout report of you. Now, I hadn't heard of Craiova before, but we played them in the Lyon project in a qualifier, so I know that they're reasonably good. I mean, basically, guys, I'm an expert on Romanian football is what we're learning here. The other place I want to check is Croatia and Serbia. Again, you know, we're going to the fringes of Europe, really. But these are kind of nations that are definitely worth kind of exploring for options. Particularly Zagreb and Hajduk Split have very, very good young players. And obviously Red Star Belgrade have some good players. Danny Olmo is another player who a lot of people were suggesting to me early on in the save game. So we'll get a scout report on him. And also Nicola Morrow is a player who I've had a few runnings of my own. Unfortunately, looking at a lot of these players, they play all the positions that I don't really need players in, which is a bit of a shame, but hey, we might as well get some scout reports on them anyway, right? Am I right, folks? Probably not. Everyone's like, no, Jack, you're not right. I will also say, for some people, I know that they probably don't find this particularly entertaining. I mean, obviously, if you're watching this at this point, you probably are, but I appreciate for some guys, they like to see how I approach matches. Some of you guys like to see how I go about looking, you know, at players. I'm kind of a bit methodical. I like to just basically treat it a bit like a game of Minesweep or Minesweeper, where you're kind of just going through lots of different teams, looking at who's available. I do want to check Serbia. The only downside of Serbia, if I'm not mistaken, is that they're not an EU nation at the start of the game, so any player we signed would go against our foreign player limit, I think. I want to double check that real quick, but I'm pretty confident that is the case, unless they're an exception. So you can see here, it's basically non-EU players have to be registered. I'm just wondering if Serbia are counted as an exception. It's kind of funny. It's like all EU nations are treated as EU, and then there's a list of a load of other countries that are treated as EU, including Serbia. Okay, so I'm not actually as concerned as I was going to be. A lot of people recommended Dejan here. He's actually a player I signed at Leverkusen. I do actually read the YouTube comment section, contrary to popular belief. It's actually kind of interesting seeing you guys recommend some players that I recognise. I feel like sometimes people recognise players and go, oh, Jack won't have heard of him, and I'm there going, I've run into them a few times. Markovic is a player who I really do like this year in FM. He is very, very good. See, again, he could be another option at centre-back for us. It depends on if I just want to sign a load of wonder kids or not. He's, again, I think, a player who I did pick up at Leverkusen. At the same time, I do like him, and he would probably get a few starts for us. I almost feel like if I got in Markovic to go alongside Kanate, we'd have the centre-back position solved. Longer term as well as shorter term. The other option I'm thinking about is Boyata, who you might remember we looked at the start of the year. Of course, we did actually put in an offer for Markovic previously. If you were watching, was that pre-season? I guess it must have been. They have upped their estimations of him just a tiny bit. I still think anywhere in the ballpark of £2 million on Markovic is probably money well spent. Boyata is the other player who we almost signed, you might remember, in pre-season. I ummed and ahed about him. I still quite like him, I'm going to be honest. Can we just approach to sign him? We can. We can. he doesn't want to be a backup, which is a tiny bit of a concern. I don't want to give him too much money a week. I want to kind of try and lowball him here, I'm going to be honest. I would like to get it down to around 20k. Let's play hardball. Let's just keep going down to 19 and see if he budges. I feel like he's going to want 20 and he's not going to change his mind. Okay, 19.5. Is he a £19,500 a week player? I mean, he probably is, let's be honest. Especially if we could get him on a free transfer to join at the end of his contract. The only thing I dislike is the fact he has gets forward whenever possible. But he is a budget option versus Kanate and Markovic. We have also got some clauses you might have seen at the top there that we can buy out. Okay, so let's look at this. Kanate, you do not have small wage demands, but I really like the look of you. So I'm going to give you a pretty generous offer. And I'm going to hope that you take it because it's a very generous offer. And I'm a nice guy. He's not playing ball. I'm going to be honest. He wants more money than I'd like to give him. He's desperate to get a yearly wage rise in his contract. 27.5 grand is a lot of money for a backup centre-back. It's not an outrageous sum of money, it's got to be said. We've got players like Ferry on 27 grand, who I probably should be looking to shift on, given how much money he's on and how little he's played and the fact he does actually have some value. Of course, with the transfer window being open, there might be a chance to move on a player like him. Similar to Dubois as well, who has been kicking up a bit of a stink about wanting to leave. We offered him out previously and no one was interested because I believe in real life he's only just joined Lyon. But he is kicking up a stink about wanting to leave. So if we could get some money for him, it'd be good. Maroutan doesn't want to sign a new contract. Markovic, again, wants to be a hot prospect. I noticed that Monaco are interested in him. I hate you, Monaco, so much. I really do. Monaco have just been the bane of my existence. They got Almir on from us before. I'm kind of desperate just to land Markovic here. His estimated wage demands are between £2,000 and £2,800 a week. I'm going to offer him 5 grand, but it's a 5-year contract I wanted to sign with an optional 3-year extension in it. And then I will offer him... I'll offer him what he's expecting and then a little bit more in terms of what his agent wants. I mean, that's a very bad offer that I've given him, but he's almost agreed to it. I like the fact I'm acknowledging it's a bad offer. I'm not going to try and squeeze back in the optional contract extension because I've pissed him off a little bit in these negotiations already. It's gone orange. It's not a good look. Right. We've got him, and now Monte we're looking to sign as well. And Monte can play right back as well, which would be useful if we are going to end up selling Dubois. The fact that Monte can give us a bit of coverage. 19,000 is more than I wanted to pay. Quite significantly more. Is that because of Manchester City? I can almost guarantee you it is. 17.5? Okay, that's quite a lot of money in the wages. Let's get a follow-up scout report. Of course, his contract expires, so we are getting him for free, basically. So that's why he probably wants a little bit more wages. Meunier is going to want crazy money, isn't he? I don't want to offer him more than any of our other players. I'm just curious. Yeah, okay, that's not happening. 120 grand. I'm tapping out there. So yikes from me. That is not money that I wish to offer. Vieira is going to leave us. He was one of those youngsters who hasn't done a great deal. Lille want Dubois on loan. They don't want to pay any of his wages. That's convenient, isn't it? That is convenient. I mean, to be honest, if I could get 7 grand for him, considering he's not... sorry, not 7 grand. £7 million for him, I'd probably take that. I've noticed in these live commentaries, I have a habit of saying million instead of thousand when it comes to contract negotiations and how much I'm offering. So if I ever say a million whilst I offer thousands on the contract negotiation panel, just fill in the blanks. Dubois, force a move. Get yourself out of this club. I never want to see your face ever again. Is that harsh? Maybe it's a little harsh, but he wants to leave, not me. He initiated this breakup. I'm just bitter about it. And Dombele's development's been good. Again, it's another loan offer for Mbia. I don't want to loan him out. I just don't. I mean, at this point, I'm almost willing to pay like 10,000 of his wages if someone will take him off my hands. Which I'm hoping someone will. Although I am starting to slowly come to the acceptance that it might not happen. Hamza Rafia signs a new contract at the club. That is very good news. Konate, 8 million is a lot of money, but I really like the look of this guy. Does the transfer happen immediately because he's loaned out? I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does. I like the look of this guy. He's been on loan at Red Bull Salzburg. He's not really played for them, but he's a very good prospect. And he's going to come in and be a backup immediately, but longer term, I could see him really having a good spot in our team. Also, when we almost signed him in the summer, I know you guys were very approving of the transfer. So yeah, we will bring him in. I actually really like the look of him. Monte is also due to sign for us. Between him, Konate and Markovic, we might have the centre-back position solved, you know. And with Monte, he comes at the end of his contract. There will be a buy now option, I imagine. How much do they want to buy now? 1 million. See, I might trigger that towards the end of the window if I feel like we need him. But if Ndombele's still around, not Ndombele, if Yanga and Bia is still around, then it might be worth just waiting until the end of the year to bring him in. Obviously, if Dubois goes again, we might need a right backup, and in which case Nelson Monte can come in and be that player. I feel like he's a really good budget signing, to be honest. I've never heard of him. Looking at it here, he was a Benfica kind of starlet. This year he's played a handful of games for Radio Ave, but they've not really played him that much. He just looks like a really well-rounded centre-back who's actually pretty good with the ball at his feet, and given our passing system, that is, well, pretty good looking. Can I just say, Ndombele, 9.95 in training. That's very good. Mbia, disappointing. I'm upset. I just remembered we should terminate. Can I not terminate McTominay's loan? Apparently I can't. I wish I had that clause in there. Is that going to be the same for Gnabry as well? Maybe the players will request termination of their loans. I think that's what we might be hoping for at this point. Which might not be the best situation to be in when you think about it. But we'll make do. We'll manage. We'll cope, I hope. So we've got this game against Dijon, which is the Coupe de France, which is the big cup competition in France. It's the one the board do care about. We've then got the winter break where we've got a friendly scheduled. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. I did notice there as well, Origi has agreed a contract with Dortmund on £57,000. It's probably more than I would have been willing to pay him, so I'm not too concerned about that. Konate joins us. I mean, get in the senior team, son. In terms of his training, it's going to be a ball-playing centre-back. I hope he can get better at his heading and decisions. I think defensive positioning is going to be the thing to train him in. His marking's already good, but it will just help with his positioning and decisions a little bit. He's got pretty good defending already, so we'll get him maybe mark him more tightly. I'm going to tell my staff that he doesn't know what he's talking about, because this guy's 19. His marking is going to improve, I certainly hope. He comes in and immediately he's our fourth best centre-back. I really like him. We could even train him to play centre mid and be a ball-winning midfielder. That might limit his kind of capable overall ability. Our scouting team has found Marcus Rashford. Unfortunately, the £166 million asking price might be a teeny tiny bit out of our budget. I don't want to say that too prematurely, but that is the inkling I've gotten. Konate can come onto the bench for Mbia. Although, of course, the reason Mbia was on the bench is because Dinea was out of an injury and he's now back. Konate actually is another player who, again, can just be made available for the reserves on an ongoing basis. He's the kind of player who, if we get a few injuries, he will be involved in the first team. But at least right now, we're not in a situation where we necessarily need him. Additionally, for Trincao, I think we'll play him over Marin on the bench. I think. No, we will. I think that is the right decision to make. We also have Aouar on the bench too. Of course, he was coming back from an injury last time out. I mean, with the exception of the Depay injury now, we're pretty much at full strength. It does make my first team feel a little bloated. Gravenberch we can move to the reserves for now. McTominay and Gnabry. I'm going to move to the reserves. They might kick up a fuss here, but I'm also hoping it might result in me being able to terminate their loans if they so request. I'm kind of trying to force them out of the club at this point, which is, well, morally questionable, but I'm a morally questionable kind of guy. What does that even mean? Ferry, can you leave? Maybe 4 million? He doesn't want to sign a new contract. His contract's up in a year and a half. I'd like to get a little bit of money for him and preferably get him off the wages. Whether or not that is realistic, I guess remains to be seen. I've got to say, I love the fact that our scouts are like recommending players just massively out of our budget. Moreno's contract's up, isn't it? At the end of the year, and he's a very good left back in Football Manager terms. He wants to be a key player. Real Madrid are interested. Can I suggest first team? I can. I'm just curious how much he's going to want wage-wise. Obviously, we've got Mendy, and we've also got... oh gosh, the name's gone from my head. Our other left-back, Marçal. Is it Marçal? It's Marçal, right? Yeah, Marçal. We've got Marçal and we've got Mendy. Marçal is an older player and does take up a foreign player slot, and whilst he is playing well... There isn't a massive difference between him and Moreno. In fact, looking at it here, you can see Moreno probably is the better player. And he is younger. And he's not going to count as a foreign player and a non-EU player in our registration. I also wonder if we could get some money for Marçal. The only downside, really, for Moreno is I imagine he's going to want more money. Also got Mendy, who are slowly trying to get back up to match fitness. How does he compare with Marçal? Obviously, he's been out with a long-term injury. You can see... He's got slightly better physicals, but Marçal is better in all the other areas. But he is 29. Moreno might not be the most mental transfer if he doesn't want too much in the way of wages, but I have this horrible feeling he will. Anyway, this is probably going to be the only game in today's episode, so let's just submit the team. It's going to be pretty much the full-strength team that we were looking at playing. I want to take this cup competition kind of seriously. I probably wouldn't be selecting a team this strong if this was a match kind of between some league games, but given the fact it comes right before the winter break, I'm kind of just happy to do this. Additionally, you might have noticed they are playing that kind of 4-4-1-1 system with the two defensive midfielders, so we're going to go for our standard change that we have deployed a few times against teams who try this against us. We're going to play with wing-backs on attack, look for the overlap, and well, hopefully we can break them down and score some goals. We've been in really good form as of late. Hopefully defensively we can stay secure. And yeah, we'll see how we get on here. Fekir whips it in back post. Nodded down. That was not far wide by Terrier. Not far wide at all. Lovely little attempt. But yeah, feel free, by the way, to let me know in the comments how you guys have enjoyed this episode. Obviously, it's a little bit different to the format we've been following previously. Potentially a taster for what the off-season might end up being like. I feel like with the off-season it could end up being just a significantly longer episode that's just all transfer talk. Obviously there wouldn't be a match like this to kind of break things up. I'll be honest, I'm hoping that the whole of January isn't going to be like this. But at the same time, you know, I want to make sure we make some shrewd investments, especially with the money we've been given. This would have been a significantly different episode if we hadn't been given all that money and told the board we were going to win the league. But we've got a new contract. They've given me extra money to spend, which is very generous of the board. On top of the additional money they were giving us for a better league. Oh my gosh, he's been sent off. He's murdered a man. Terrier has murdered a man. He's actually... I mean, it looked bad in 3D. I've got my hands on my cheeks. It's not ideal, I'm going to be honest. It's not ideal. In terms of how we bounce back from this, I've not had this situation before where we've had a player sent off in a game that we should be winning. Obviously, when this happened against Juventus, it was kind of a case of shut up shop. But here, I kind of want to stay on the front foot and stay attacking. But at the same time, I can't do too much of that. We're going to put Moussa Dembele on complete forward, so hopefully he drops in a little bit to fill the gap the attacking midfielder is like not going to be filling because we don't have one anymore. I've then switched the inside forwards to attack. So we're asking quite a lot of Dembele. He's kind of got to do the role he was doing previously in terms of leading the line, but also drop into the space and be a bit of a link-up player. And additionally, with the kind of inside forwards now on attack, they're going to have to attack the space that Dembele vacates by dropping deeper. That's the thinking we're going with. We'll see if it works out for us. Obviously, being a man down is never ideal. Always leaves you on the back foot. But Bertrand Traoré just doesn't care. It's his 13th goal of the season. Marçal with the assist. He's heard murmurs in the air that I'm thinking about selling him, and Moreno is a player who could make a surprise transfer to us, and he's gone, right, I need to show the gaffer what I'm made of. I will say, all the deals we're doing are fantastic. I think the best bit of transfer news so far is the fact that we've not actually had any massive offers on any of our really good players. I was a little bit worried that someone like Traore, Fekir might get an offer on them. It might unsettle them a little if we got a massive offer from a big Premier League team. But at least right now, that hasn't happened. And whilst I might be willing to sell a player or two come the summer, when we're top of the league midway through the season, doing as well as we are, I don't really want to sell anyone for obvious reasons. I feel like it just makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, let's see what we can do here. Let's see how we get on. Second half, we're 1 goal up. We are a man down. Let's not forget that. Any kind of win here would be great. Part of me's thinking maybe I should play more defensive, but we've had 58% of the ball despite being a man down since the 16th minute. And additionally, we've created a hell of a lot. Dembele on a booking is a teeny tiny bit concerning. I don't really want to risk anything here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring in Fekir to play complete forward, and then I'm going to give a debut to Trincao. Why not? Why not give him a debut in this game? What could go wrong? We are going to play him on the left-hand side. He is left-footed, but the only other option would be to swap him and Traore around. Traore is also left-footed though, so it doesn't really solve the problem of the fact that our wide player on the left-hand side is going to be left-footed. It doesn't seem to have cost us greatly. I mean, it's not exactly been a thrilling game, has it, considering this is going to be the only live com today. Let's make a few more changes here. I'm going to bring in Maxwell Cornet for Fekir, I think, up front. Let's just make sure we protect Fekir a little bit. They've actually done better in this half. We've not done a great deal with it. We've continued to boss possession without really doing a lot going forward. A chance of a set piece here. If we could score one more and confirm things, that would be nice. Papa Cech to end on Bele, who hits it not far over the crossbar. You'd kind of like to see him hit the target, in truth. 2.5 minutes left, so there is going to be another chance in this game. If Dijon score now, I don't actually know if it goes to extra time or a second leg. I guess we'll find out if it comes to that. They are the team on the attack, but Papa Cech is just like, no, my ball. Steals it off them, recycles possession on off the bench, of course. So he is the man with fresh legs in the centre, I was about to say like a Duracell bunny still going, but of course he's coming late, so he's not really like a Duracell bunny as well. Also, is Duracell an international brand? I feel like it must be. If you don't know what a Duracell bunny is, it's like Duracell is a battery brand, and they have in all their TV adverts, they, well, at least used to have a bunny. Either way, I'm talking about bunnies. I should be talking about the fact that Julio Tavares has just scored for them. And that's not great. As I said, I don't know if this now goes to extra time, or I feel like it must go to extra time, but I genuinely don't know. Is it going to be extra time, or is it a second leg? It's extra time. Not ideal, because we have been a man down in this game. Boys, I'm not happy. I feel like I've been a bit too relaxed with this match. I've been a bit too chilled out. It's all the transfer talk, you know? I'm kind of just in a zenned out mood. When it's match after match after match, you kind of, the blood starts pumping around your body. You're on edge a little bit more, whereas I'm kind of like, whatever, it's fine. Which probably isn't the best attitude to have, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm going to get shouty with the players and demand more. I think that went through. I did it before half-time, but I don't think the actual shout happened. Maybe it did happen. Players didn't react as well as I would have liked to my shout. Part of me's like, maybe we should play more attacking. I think we do actually get an extra sub here in extra time. So I'm going to bring in Aouar. I'm going to bring him on for Trincao and then... for Bertrand Traore and swap Trincao and Aouar round. There's 10 minutes left of the game. I'm going on attacking. It's all or nothing for the last 5 minutes. Obviously, we've put our man down, so the fact we've kept it close is good. I say this all like I'd be happy if we were to lose now. I would not be happy if we lost now. There is 1 minute left of this game. I want to believe we're going to go up the other end and score. We've played positive football despite being a man down. We've got some fresh legs on the pitch. Cornet... I mean, it's not the best touch, is it? Let's be honest. Now they're on the ball coming forward. City switches the play. We could be in trouble. Blocks the cross. Can we counter? Aouar. This is just a really long highlight to end the game, isn't it? It's not going to amount to anything. If it does, I don't know what... I was about to say I'll do something, but I don't know what the forfeit would be. 10 seconds left in this game. Where is Aouar going? He's like, boss doesn't think I can do anything. Trincao hits it. I mean, if that goes in, we worship him. We bow at his feet. The youngster who we've just signed. Unfortunately, he's launched it over. We're going to penalties. And unless there's to be a goal here... I mean, for a second I thought the match had frozen. Turns out they're just time wasting, despite being a man up. I'm not a fan of that, Dijon. Not a fan of that at all. Tavares to Gourcuff. 50-50 tackle. It was crunching. I mean, Papa Cech gets his revenge. I'm a little bit concerned they could score from this set piece. It's Beckham-esque against Greece. It's going to be Seaman with it. What could he do? He hits it. He just attacks one of our players with the ball and hits him in the head. Right, I'll be honest, we've taken off some of our better penalty takers. Trincao is going to take the third penalty. I mean, no pressure, mate. But I expect big things from you. I'm a little bit nervous for this because we don't have very good penalty takers on the pitch. They step up. Tavares, I mean, I can't help but feel like Lopez should do a little bit better in goal. Aouar, I need a senior performance from the youngster. What can he do for us? He steps up. Wasn't a great penalty, but it has found the back of the net. So I guess that works for me. Now with Gourcuff. Some experience in their team. He hits it. I mean, that is the hand that we needed. That is a strong arm. Lopez has been going to the gym. He's been working out hard. People have questioned, do you really need to do arm days every day? Now we know why he's just on the weights only. And Cornet, what a penalty that is. I don't know, whenever I see Cornet, I think of Cornetto ice creams and get a bit hungry. That's probably just me. Right, Seaman steps up. It's a pretty good finish, isn't it? I realise it might not be Seaman at all. Right, Trincao. What can you do? I realise the sentence I've just said sounds wrong. What I'm trying to say is I don't know how to say his name. Trincao! Ow! We have Aouar and Trincao. That was painful to watch. Right. 3 penalties taken by each team. Both have scored 2. It's going to be this guy to step up for them. He scores. The pressure is back on us as the team's taking the second penalty. And it's down to our centre-back, Wallace. Perhaps an indicator of how fewer penalty takers we have. What can you do, Wallace? I mean, that's a pretty good penalty by a centre-back, isn't it? And at this point, it is essentially sudden death after 4 penalties each. Abied steps up, tucks it home, and now the pressure is back on us. The 5th penalty of the shootout. It would go to official sudden death if Marcel misses this. Marcel, if you miss this, I'm going to sign Moreno. Can you imagine if a manager actually shouted that to their player as they went to take a penalty? I mean, it's a long walk, isn't it? He's not walked particularly quickly, has Marcel. Can he finish it? That is the question on our lips. He steps up. Lopez can't look on the right. Oh my God, it's awful. He's not even hit the target. Get out the club. Oh, I mean, Terrier, my golden boy. My golden boy. It was such an unnecessary straight red card. Marcel says he'll step up again for a penalty. I don't know if I'll let you. I don't know if I'll let you. Moreno, okay, he wants 67 grand. Can you take 50? Can you take 50? 50? I'm going to play really hardball here with 50. 50, Moreno. 50. Thank you. I'd quite like to sign Alberto Moreno because he's quite good in FM. I would feel a little bit bad. But he did just miss a penalty. Did Marcel. He did just miss a penalty. I'm actually surprised no one else has gone in for Moreno. I say this, there's going to be someone go in now, isn't there? Real Madrid are going to offer him a contract. I know how this works. His agents leaked the fact that we've given him an offer sheet, and now they're hoping that some other players are going to come in. Right, Musterman. Obviously, this is Kovac, but with a fake name. Look, he's not going to play. He's not going to play. I've clicked the bottom option multiple times. Gnabry's been recalled. I mean, it's worked. It's the 200 IQ play. It frees up some more wage budget for us. Which I guess is good. Surprisingly, we've not had anyone from Manchester United come about McTominay's game time. Which does surprise me a little, but hey-ho, I'm not going to complain. To be honest, I feel like we're fairly well equipped in the wide areas now. Obviously, we're going to have Cornet and St. Maximin, who, I'll be honest, I'm not sure why St. Maximin hasn't been playing on the bench for us. I guess it's because we've had Trincao and Gravenberch, and I've been giving them unfairly chances in the first team. But actually, the reality is that St. Maximin should definitely be on the bench for us. I am still a little not decided on Martinez. We brought him in for £6 million. He's got 2 goals in 15 games. He's valued at £13 million. Part of me wants to offer him out and just see if anyone would buy him for like double the money that we paid for him 6 months ago. But then I don't really know who we'd bring in as an alternative. Is that Monaco making a bid? Okay, no. For a second I thought that said Monaco make an offer for Moreno. Also, PSG make an offer for Dembele. Okay, it's not our Dembele. Panic over. That was a little bit of a heart-in-mouth moment for a second. I thought that PSG are putting in a bid for Moussa Dembele. Dear Kaibi, by the way, we've got some sell-on clauses after a certain amount of appearances that we could sell. After 50 league appearances, we'll get 450,000, and after 30 league appearances, he's yet to make a league appearance for them, despite coming back from injury. With that in mind, I'm just going to sell those clauses because I don't think he's going to get to 30 or 50 games. So we'll take the money and run. Boyata we could sign on a free. Do I want to sign him? Do we need him now? I guess that's the better question. Do we need him? I feel like if we get Markovic, we don't. But I can't delay it. But it is only 20,000. Would he be a good backup centre-back? Yes is the obvious answer. I'm just wondering if we can mutually terminate Mba's contract. Like, we've offered it him before and he wanted a big payout. He wants to terminate his contract for 775,000. He's on 62,000 for the next year and a half. So as a spend, that's going to be about, I'm doing the maths here in my head, 75 times by 62. Maths is not my strong point. 75 times by 62. I mean, it's almost 6 times more than what we just have to pay him to get rid of his contract. So we are going to save money in the long term. You know what? I'm just gonna terminate it. Then do I bring in Boyata as a backup at that point? Or do I just agree the signing of Monte? They've actually lowered the amount they want for him as well. That's a tricky one. I mean, he's pretty similar to MBA. You can see the direct comparison here. He's not quite as good, but he's on a third of the wages, and he's significantly younger. You know what? I think we will just sign Monte straight away, and then we won't worry about Boyata. Boyata is good, but he's not great, and he's not as young as Monte. He will send away. Right, we need to register some players here. So obviously Kanate we can register. Monty, where are you? Trincao we need to register for the league. Jadas as well. Where is Monty? Monty, where are you? There he is, right. We're up to 84 players registered, because it registers basically everyone at the club. But I do like the look of this guy quite a lot. He's valued as a good player for League sides. I'm inclined to agree. And additionally, it's a bit of a Brucey bonus. But he can actually play right back okay. Like, his flair's not great, but everything else is kind of workable. I actually think despite that, he is largely going to play as a ball-playing defender for us, so I won't put too much stake into improving him in terms of his right-back capabilities. We will, however, train his strength, because I'd like his jumping reach and strength to get a tiny bit better. But I like him. I like this guy a lot. I think for, what, £950,000? I know he's not been in the best form this year. He's going to come in largely as a backup for us. I mean, I like it. And also, with us getting rid of Mbia, it does give Kanate maybe a few more chances in the first team. And obviously, it frees up some wage budget. Actually, quite a lot of wage budget now you look at it. We could even stick some into the transfer budget if we really wanted. Man, that really has freed up the wage budget, hasn't it? Like, significantly so. because we gain so much more in terms of the wage budget that gets freed up versus how much we're having to pay off. I'm just wondering if Moreno's going to be worth the money that we're kind of looking at offering for him. He probably is. The only issue is if he agrees to come, I don't think we can delay it because it's a pre-contract agreement. So I'd have to look at selling Marcel now before Moreno says, hey, I want to join. Toussaint's been showing development, as has Terrier. I mean, Terrier, you literally murdered someone last game, so I don't care if you've performed well. You were a naughty boy and you not cost us in the cup. Really? Really? I should be disciplining him for his dismissal and just issue... I'm going to give him a warning. Give him a warning. He's been a naughty boy. Toussaint. I mean, that's what we want to see. Toussaint's just mental. Like, literally mental, as in his mentals are mental. I mean, we have money to spend, is the bottom line. Like, we could realistically spend another 10 million on a player here if we wanted to. I'm just wondering if there's anyone else whose contract's expiring who we'd like to sign. Glenn Kamara, I had a very good experience with this year already. I do quite like him. Question is, do we need more centre mids? I guess as a defensive midfielder, he's as good as Ndombele and Toussaint. He's only on £900 a week at Dundee. He's done okay for Dundee as well. Is he willing to come in as a backup and just take a very small wage? Because at 23 years old, I'm not expecting him to improve a lot. He wants £6,000. To be honest, just in terms of strength and depth, 6,000 is just worth it. He's very, very consistent. Yes, he doesn't enjoy big matches, but just as a good defensive centre mid backup option, I think he's okay. I think for Max here, just given some of the players we're bringing in, he's a player who might benefit from going out on loan. I think for now, he can probably go back to the reserve team. I know he's not necessarily going to be super happy about that, but if we get rid of Ferry and bring in Glenn Kamara, I think we'll be okay in the centre mid department. And also, there's no reason that we can't promote Max if we need to later. I'm just thinking about, did I have him on a mentoring block? I think we did. But he was in a group with Ferry, and I think we'd already kind of slimmed down that group. I kind of want to add Jadas and Trincao to the same group as Ferry, although actually they've all got average influence. That doesn't even matter. You know what? We'll just get rid of that tutoring group. I think... I'm going to be honest, as I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of this new kind of tutoring system. I kind of preferred the old one. I know it could be gamed a lot more. But I don't know. For me, I felt like it was a bit more clear what was happening. Got a game being postponed. I don't know if I've had a game be postponed myself this year in FM. It's kind of something that happens down in the lower leagues. Right, these are some of the players we were scouting before. Andrea Ranachia is actually, his contract's expiring. He wants 50 grand. That's too much for a player who would be a backup centre-back. These are some of the Portuguese players we were looking at, you might remember. Loom here on loan from Braga is kind of similar to Kamara in some ways. I kind of prefer Kamara though, and Kamara's available for free. Who are these other players? Were any of them particularly good prospects? A little underwhelmed by at least the scout ratings. Mario Ferreira, I didn't even realise his contract's expiring. Well, we might as well just offer him something. We would have to pay £1 million in potential clauses. That's okay with me. He'd be a pretty good young player. Oh, actually, it's 1.2 million compensation. Thinking about it, if I withdraw the contract offer now, I think it will count as me pulling out and he'll be annoyed. I'm going to do it. Because I think actually if we just give them a transfer offer, they'll accept significantly less than the compensation that we might have had to pay. So the compensation was looking like it was going to be 1.2 million. Yeah, you can see here. Always with like players who have low values, whose compensation is quite significant. Try sticking in an offer for them, because sometimes the offers come out way lower than the compensation. The only issue is that because I've offered him a contract then withdrawn it, that might be viewed as me pulling out of negotiations. This guy's okay, but he's not great, is he? Obviously, a lot of these players were those players we were scouting in Romania and Croatia and stuff. Jovan Markovic, he was that player who I said I kind of liked the look of. He's valued very low in terms of value. I did notice he had injury proneness as a weakness. But at £1 million, is he going to be worth a punt? 1.2 million, injury prone, but is consistent and quite adaptable. Let's get a second scout report, try and build up a bit more knowledge of him. Then we come to the Dynamo Zagreb players. There's some very good players here. Like Olmo, I know a lot of people really, really like this year. I don't really need more attacking midfielder players, but if he was willing to come in and be a backup player, I'd take him, but I don't think he would. The other question is, how much are they going to want in terms of transfer fee? Let's find out. I mean, 10 million, it's going to be in that ballpark, is too much. Nicola Morrow is probably going to be a similar situation. He's a more kind of centre midfielder, kind of playmaker option. Let's see. Again, 8 million we're talking for him. It's just a bit too much, given our current budget. Ivan Sunjic here. I mean, he's a very interesting player who I've never come across before. Whether or not it would actually be any good remains to be seen, because his potential doesn't seem that great, but they only want £500,000 for him. So we'll get a second scout report on him, get a second opinion. I mean, to be honest, lots of these players we scouted with some kind of curiosity. I'm a little underwhelmed at what's come back. We could sign Dejan here. He's a player who, as I said, I did sign at Leverkusen. He's kind of one of those very good kind of go-to younger players. I know I do have a lot of viewers from Serbia, and you guys are always recommending this guy and Markovic. So for that reason, I'm kind of almost tempted to give in to peer pressure. Probably wouldn't be a player who moves straight into the first team, but would be kind of that long-term option, you know, alongside Markovic, two very exciting younger players. I think Markovic would be a really good centre-back option. Of course, we've got the other Markovic who we're looking at as well. He can only sign a 2-year contract because of his the fact he's under 18. So I'm going to give him a bit of a bigger contract offer than I'd like to, but with an optional 3-year extension. And hopefully negotiate it with him. I'm willing to go up to £4,000 for him, to be honest. I like the look of this guy. He could be very good. I've not really seen him much in FM this year, so if you have played with him, please let me know how he turned out for you. Dejan Markovic, we can do that for, and then or Jolovic even, and then Markovic here, £2.3 million. I feel like we have to do it. I really like him. Obviously, we can shift around some of the wage budget and transfer budget. I think in terms of the spend of his wages and his transfer fee, basically, if you were to factor in Mbia getting released and the amount of money we took off the transfer budget to release him, but then the amount of money we gained back, we actually get Markovic with the money that we freed up kind of completely done. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a good bit of business, and he does just fit straight into the team, which is nice. We will promote him to the senior squad where he definitely belongs. He's going to be a player we call upon. I think he will feature quite a lot. He's not the quickest centre-back, so with that in mind, we might train his quickness. But all in all, just a very, very good prospect. And he's probably another player who we will not move to the reserve, but we'll make available for the reserves for 90 minutes. You know, there's going to be a few younger players here who are good, but might not necessarily appear a load in the team. What I do like now is the fact we now have 6 very good centre-backs, and we're not relying on Mbia or Morel, which is nice, because Mbia and Morel, don't get me wrong, they're okay players, but the kind of money they wanted was just too much, far too much for my liking for what they were offering, and they are on their way out of the team. We've replaced them with some young and hungry players, which I think definitely fits into kind of the team philosophy here. I mean, at this point, we almost have too many great young players, but it's not a bad problem to have. I'm not going to complain about it, put it that way. I mean, if we just look here at our team kind of report, let's have a look. I mean, in terms of strengths, dribblings, strong, just our young prospects on the whole, we've got so much wage budget left over. At this point, we've got so many young players who are looking to sign. If I can get in these 2 strikers, that would be good, because the striking department is perhaps the area where we lack the most kind of raw talent. Obviously, Moreno would be a good signing. Mario Ferreira, if we could get him in, I'd really like it. I should probably get a follow-up scout report, but he's looking like he could be a really good, just cheap player to get in and stick in the reserves. Glenn Kamara could be some good strength and depth at centre mid, especially if we look to sell Ferry. And Moreno's just very good in FM terms, and if we could get him for a free, I'd be a happy bunny. I mean, you can see our wage budget here, £300,000 of that left over. We could very easily shift, this over into the transfer budget and have, £15 million to spend, and still be left over with £90,000 in the wage budget left over. That's after as well. You consider all these offers that we've currently got going on. That 90,000 is still left over. I don't want to over-expand our team at this point. If there was one area of the pitch I was particularly wanting a new player in, I don't even know. I don't even know where I'd sign an immediate kind of player. I feel like striker maybe, but then would I have to look at selling Martinez? Probably, but I don't really want to sell him. I want to keep sticking with him. I mean, so far, when you look at our kind of strategy this transfer window, we've brought in Jadas and Trincao, so two good young attacking players. We didn't necessarily need them, but I feel like for a combined cost of less than £4 million, they're just two very, very good young Portuguese players. Kanate for £10.5 million, a big investment. I feel like I've not perhaps made enough over how much we've paid for this guy. He's a big investment, but I'm hoping he's an investment who's going to come off for us, given his young age. Obviously, Nelson Monte just comes in as a very solid-looking backup centre-back who can also play right-back. And Markovic, again, just comes in to cover the centre-back area, which was, I think, going into this window, the big problematic area. So, actually, we've ended up signing 3 centre-backs who, alongside Dinea, are going to be our backups. The total outlay is quite steep. It's about £14 million. But then when you consider we obviously sold Raphael, and our actual wage spend, I think, has probably gone down between Morel and Bia leaving. It feels like kind of money smartly spent as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm pretty okay with where we're at now. I feel like we're in a really good spot. I feel like really we're looking at maybe 1 or 2 more players. I am questioning whether or not I really need Glenn Kamara, to be honest. We don't really have a whole host of defensive centre mids. Ferry would be the player who, if I can't sell, maybe I try and just keep him happy, because he is a good player. I mean, if we compare him to Kamara, you can see the direct comparison. Kamara is better defensively. Ferry is more of a playmaker. I'd see Kamara as more of that ball-winning midfielder alternative. Right now, Papa Cech and Ndombele have been the players we've slotted into that defensive midfielder role when we've needed that player. But Glenn Kamara is, I think, slightly better than both of them at doing that. And given the fact we could get him in for £6,000 a week as a backup, it's kind of one of those ones where we might not necessarily need him, but the cost is just so low, it's almost like, why wouldn't you do it? There's absolutely no reason not to sign them. Anyway, this has been a really long episode already at almost an hour and 10 minutes long. I don't want to keep it too much longer than this. I feel like we have done a large outlay of our transfers. Okay, that's annoying. Fakir is out for 2 weeks, basically. Let's just get Dejan an offer. But yeah, what I was going to say was, I feel like this episode, we've actually done a lot of the essential transfer business that I was hoping to get done across the whole window, in terms of addressing the centre-back area and getting some strength in depth. Kind of from this point onwards, I feel like we don't need to worry quite so much about things. In terms of, I feel like the rest of the window is going to be a little less action-packed. I say this now, watch one of our big players get like a £50 million offer and me panic about whether or not I should sell them and who I could sign with the money instead. That is entirely a realistic possibility, but I don't really want to think about it too much. Right, let's give Dejan an offer that he's going to be happy with here. Again, similarly to some of the other players that we've signed, I'm willing to offer him a little bit more than perhaps you'd normally feel comfortable signing him for, but just to get that optional extension in. But yeah, I feel like we've done a lot of our transfer business here. Really sticking with youth. I want to bring in more young players to add to our academy and our flourishing young team. Okay, yeah, so you can see here's that issue with Ferreira where I cancelled the offer before I submitted it, but now he reads it as breakdown in talks, so doesn't want to now join us. So that's a bit of a shame that deal's fallen through. But yeah, we've got Nice on the horizon in the Coupe de la Ligue quarter-final. That's going to be a really big game next time out. I still wouldn't mind looking a little bit more at players whose contracts are expiring in 6 months, but I think we will do that next time and just see who else might be available. There's a few players like Smalling and Mangala who, whilst on the face of it look like they could be pretty good, I mean, they're just injured all the time. Balotelli could be an interesting one if I still want a striker. He's on 93 grand a week. How much is he going to want to join us? I'm a little bit scared to check. Of course, in real life, he's gone to Marseille, if I'm not mistaken. He wants 100... Okay, that's not happening, Mario, I'm afraid to say. It's not happening. Right, Moreno's set to join us at the end of his contract for 50,000. What we could do is we could accept this now, offer out Marcel and see if anyone comes in for him, and then potentially exercise the buy now option on Moreno if anyone does come in for him. Let me know what you think. Should we sign Moreno? Does it make sense to move on Marcel? I would like to hear your thoughts on it. Marcel's been doing very well, but he is 29. He is getting on a little bit. He's actually going to be 30 next month. His natural fitness isn't the craziest, so his physicals are going to start to decline. And I think if we just compare him to Alberto Moreno, Moreno is undeniably a better player in terms of his physicals. Mentally, perhaps Marcel has the edge, but I feel like the just strength that, well, you can see here Moreno possesses in other areas probably makes him the more desirable option. And whilst £50,000 a week is quite a lot for Moreno, given the wage budget we've got available, I feel like it could be money well spent. Anyway, yeah, guys, let me know what you think. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the next episode, more January transfer action. And, well, that is all from me today. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know, feedback-wise, did you enjoy this episode? Do you like these kind of transfer kind of specials, I guess, where it's a lot more rambly, a lot more talking through my thought process? I'd be interested to hear it. Of course, we're trying out a new format with this series. If it turns out people love this kind of live January stuff, we'll do it more often. If you guys are kind of a bit, meh, it's okay, it could be shorter. What I might look to do is some kind of edited down version that we can maybe do as an alternative for future seasons. Anyway, that's been all from me today. Leave a like, as I said, if you've enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you've made of our transfer business so far. And I will see you guys tomorrow. It is me, Jack, and I'm out. I'll talk to you guys in a bit.